You know that feeling when the air seems still, but something inside you whispers that change is coming? Not loud, not urgent, just a steady, sacred rhythm beating beneath the surface of your day. That's what today feels like. Because whether you realize it or not, someone, yes, that person you've been holding in the quiet corners of your heart, is preparing to come back into your life. But not in the same way they left. He can't. Because before he finds the path back to you, he must finally face the truth you left behind. And you, dear soul, are not the same woman he walked away from. Maybe it wasn't a dramatic goodbye. Maybe it was just silence, distance, unanswered questions layered between conversations that ended too soon. But the truth is still there. Your truth. The truth of who you became after the storm passed. The woman who rebuilt herself quietly, tenderly, fiercely. The woman who didn't chase. Who sat in the pain, let it burn, and then used that fire to rise. He feels it. Not in words, but in energy. He senses that your light has changed. That the love you once offered without condition is no longer waiting in the same place, in the same way. And that realization? It shakes him. Because here's the part you didn't know. Even after he walked away, even after he told himself it was the right choice, he kept looking back. Maybe not with his eyes, but with his spirit. Checking. Wondering. Missing. He thought you'd be there, frozen in time, just as he left you. But angels don't stand still when love hurts. They evolve. And you, dear heart, have evolved into something breathtaking. Now, he stands at a crossroads. One where he must finally confront the parts of himself he's tried so hard to ignore. The fears, the pride, the deep-rooted belief that he wasn't enough. Not for you. Not for this kind of love. And you know what? That truth, your truth, is the key to his return. Not because you'll remind him. Not because you'll reach out and explain. But because your silence is sacred now. Your absence, powerful. He has to find his own way back. And he's trying. Right now, he's replaying moments you thought he'd forgotten. He's remembering the way your laugh shifted the energy in the room. The way you saw right through him, not just the polished surface, but the wounds beneath. No one has ever made him feel that safe, or that seen. And that's what haunts him now. Because when you left, you didn't just walk away from him. You walked away from who you had to become just to love him. And somewhere deep down he knows. He has to meet you in a new place now. A place where love doesn't cost you your peace. A place where he no longer needs saving. Only then will he be ready to return. But let's pause here. Because I need to ask you something. Are you ready? Not just for his return, but for the version of you that's emerging? The one who doesn't need validation to know she's enough. The one who has turned longing into light. The one who listens to the angels, and knows when they're whispering, stay still. He'll find you when he's ready. Because he will. When he's finally brave enough to face the truth you left behind, and humble enough to admit that losing you was never part of his plan. He's preparing. Slowly. Quietly. Painfully. And when he returns, it won't be with promises. It won't be with a rehearsed apology. It will be with presence. With truth. With eyes that finally see you not as the woman who waited, but the woman who rose. And in that moment, dear soul, you will have a choice. You always did. But this time, you'll choose from a place of power, not pain. And whatever you choose, it will be holy. Because your healing made it so. Now, if this message stirred something in you, if you felt even one line echo in your spirit, then this part is for you. Write in the comments, I choose truth over fear. Why? Because when you do, the angels take it as a signal. That you're ready. That you're open. That the healing you've done is calling in what's meant for you, not what's familiar. And the moment you do, you'll begin to notice the shift. Signs. Synchronicities. Dreams that feel too vivid to ignore. Because yes, dear heart, he's preparing to return. But first, And this matters more than you know. He must meet the woman who is always waiting inside of you. The one who stopped waiting for him and started choosing herself. You see, there's something unshakable about a woman who has walked through heartbreak and come out the other side softer, not colder. Stronger, not harder. And that's who you are now. He may not be able to explain why your memory hits harder in quiet moments, during a long drive, or while he's folding laundry and catches a scent that reminds him of you. But the truth is, he feels you. Not just the memory of you, but the evolution of you. The version of you that no longer asks, "Why wasn't I enough?" but instead whispers, "What more can I become?" And this shift in your spirit? It's magnetic. He feels the pull, the draw, but it's not the same pull he once ignored. This one isn't rooted in desire or nostalgia, it's rooted in reverence. Because now he knows. He left a woman who became a force. And now, before he even dreams of knocking on your door again, he's realizing something important. He has to grow first. He has to unravel the armor he's worn for so long. He has to admit that the love he thought he could walk away from was never really gone. It just went quiet, waiting for him to be brave enough to hear it again. But don't wait for him, dear soul. Live. Love. Expand. Because your path isn't defined by his return, it's illuminated by your rebirth. That's the message the angels keep whispering. You are not waiting. You are rising. And yes, he's preparing. But more than that, you are preparing too. Preparing to receive a love that meets you where you are, not where you've been. Preparing to never again shrink yourself to be chosen. Preparing to recognize that sometimes, the love we long for can only return after it learns to match the level of love we've finally given to ourselves. And when he does come back, and he will, he'll be met with something sacred. Not just the echo of the woman he once knew, but the full radiant power of the woman you've become. That truth? It's what he's running from. And it's what he's running towards. Because the moment he faces the truth you left behind, the truth of your worth, your light, your wholeness, is the moment he'll realize he never really lost you. He just wasn't ready for you. But now, he's learning. Slowly. With every breath, every memory, every silent prayer he doesn't even know how to form yet, he's learning. And when the day comes that he finally shows up, not with charm, not with excuses, but with truth, you'll know. Because he'll no longer speak to the woman he left. He'll speak to the woman who left behind the need to be chosen, and chose herself instead. And in that moment, dear soul, it won't be about whether he returns. It'll be about whether you still want to let him in. And that choice will be yours. Entirely. The angels have prepared you for this. Now, pause with me. Because you've just walked through a deep emotional landscape, and you deserve to anchor in this new energy. Close your eyes for a second. Breathe in your power. Breathe out any fear. Feel your heart expanding, not because of his return, but because you've remembered what it means to belong fully to yourself. And now, if you're ready to step into the next phase of this story, if you're ready to not just wait, but receive, then leave your signal below. Write in the comments, "I no longer wait. I am the miracle." Because the moment you do, everything begins to shift. The angels align timelines. Hearts soften. Paths reroute. And the man who once couldn't see your value begins to remember everything you were, and everything he still longs for. He's preparing, yes. But what he doesn't know yet is that you are the destination. And this time, you're not waiting at the gate. You're living like the woman who already knows. She is the one worth returning to. And even more, she is the one worth choosing. Let's talk now about what happens next. Because the moment he begins to move in your direction, guided not by guilt or longing, but by truth, everything will change. He will look at you and no longer see the woman who gave too much, waited too long, or hoped too quietly. He'll see the woman who dared to bloom in his absence. And that will be his awakening. But here's something the angels want you to know. This return, when it comes, is not a fairy tale ending. It's a sacred beginning. And it's not just his return that matters. It's how he returns. Because if he comes back still expecting you to carry the emotional weight, still hoping to be saved, still unsure if he's ready to love fully, you will know. And you will say no. Not out of bitterness, but out of reverence. For yourself. Because the woman you've become no longer negotiates her peace to keep someone else's comfort intact. And that shift, that quiet but unwavering decision, changed everything. Not only for you, but for the energetic fabric of your entire connection. The moment you chose your own peace over prolonged confusion, your own clarity over someone else's chaos, something divine realigned. You see, you were never meant to bend until you broke. You were never meant to carry both the love and the labor of the relationship. The weight of two hearts was never yours to bear alone. But for a while, you did. Because you believed in what you felt. Because you saw not just who he was, but who he could become, if only he dared to meet you in the sacred middle. But now, that belief doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't ache like it used to. Because now, it doesn't come from lacking something. It comes from truth. You're no longer clinging to potential. You're standing in your power. And that's exactly the space you were always meant to come from. It's a space that's quiet, but not empty. Still, but not stagnant. A space where your soul can stretch without needing to ask for permission. Where your heart can open without fear of being taken for granted. But dear soul, if he returns, not with empty hands and unsure words, but with clarity in his eyes, with steady hands and a trembling heart, if he returns having done the sacred work of facing the truth you left behind, then maybe, just maybe, there will be room for something beautiful to begin. Not a repetition of what was. Not the same script with new promises. But a love that doesn't require forgetting the past, because it's rooted in truth born from it. A new love. Not new because the faces are different. Not new because it's unrecognizable. New because this time, it will be honest, whole, conscious. Because your truth, beloved, has never been a weapon. It's been a mirror. A mirror that has always reflected more than just your beauty or your loyalty or your light. It's reflected his shadows too, the parts of him he spent years trying not to see. The fears he inherited. The stories he clung to. The worthiness he questioned. Not because he didn't care, but because deep down, he didn't believe he was worthy of being truly seen and still chosen. And you? You saw him. You loved him anyway. But love offered to someone who can't receive it becomes a mirror they avoid. So he ran. Or stayed distant. Or kept one foot out the door, just in case. But now that mirror no longer reflects the woman who waited. It reflects the woman who reclaimed. The one who gathered every piece of herself that had been left behind in past versions of love and stitched them back together with gold. And if he can stand in front of that mirror, not flinch, not deflect, but stay, trembling, humbled, ready, then perhaps he's finally ready not just to return, but to stay, to remain through the quiet days, to show up in small ways, to create not just connection, but continuity, to co-create, to listen, to learn, and to build something that doesn't require perfection, only presence, to grow beside you, not behind you, to walk the path of becoming, hand in hand, not because he needs you to complete him, but because he finally realizes that the journey is richer with you walking beside him, not beneath him. That's what the angels are orchestrating now. That's the divine timing you've been sensing in your spirit. It's the tug at your intuition when everything else seems calm. It's the whisper you hear before sleep, the sudden knowing that something sacred is aligning. You didn't lose him, not really. You led him, through your silence, your strength, your surrender, back to himself. You didn't beg. You didn't chase. You simply let go, and in doing so, made space for the kind of love that chooses you without conditions. And in doing so, you called in the version of him that can finally meet the version of you that has always been waiting. But not waiting in the shadows. Not waiting in a place of compromise or emotional scarcity. waiting in your fullness, in your joy, in your sacred sovereignty. Waiting not for rescue, but for resonance. That, beloved, is what makes this moment sacred. Not because you need him to come back, but because if he does, it will be like a man reborn by truth, welcomed by a woman who is no longer afraid of her own. And that's the foundation of everything real. Because when two souls meet again, not out of need but out of understanding, that's not just love. That's alchemy. That's what transforms endings into beginnings. That's what the angels have been preparing you for all along. It's not merely about a man returning. It's about a soul remembering. And now, if your heart feels this truth, if you sense the stirring in your spirit, then leave your final affirmation in the comments. Write, I am the reflection of truth. Let the angels witness your declaration. Let the universe mark this moment. Because from this point forward, you don't chase love. You attract it. You don't beg for presents. You embody it. And the man who is getting ready to return, he will recognize your truth, not as something to fear, but as something he was always meant to move toward. He's preparing, dear one. And so are you. Not for his love, but for the kind of love that no longer asks you to shrink just to be held. And when you both arrive there, whole, healed, and honest, it won't be a reunion. It will be a homecoming. One your soul always knew was possible. The angels are already celebrating. Because you didn't wait. You became. And that truth? That's what he's finally ready to face. That's what will guide him home.